All right, let's dive into a project that strikes equal parts fear and excitement into the hearts of homeowners everywhere. A full exterior siding replacement. Welcome to this explainer. If you've been staring at your home's exterior thinking, man, it is time for an upgrade, you're probably weighing timelines and budgets right now. But as we're going to see today, peeling back your home's outer layer can reveal a whole lot more than you bargained for, especially here in San Diego. You know, there's a pretty stark difference between what the glossy ads promise and the messy reality of a live construction site. Marketing materials love to sell speed, right? They promise a brand new exterior in just a couple of weeks. But the reality for a typical single-family home in San Diego is actually more like a 3 to 6 week process. Seriously, anyone guaranteeing 2 weeks without even inspecting your house, they're selling you a brochure, not a real-world schedule. So, this brings us to the multi-thousand-dollar question. Where does all that extra time actually go? I mean, why does a project that seems as simple as pulling off old boards and nailing on new ones stretch out for over a month? Well, the answer lies in the preparation, the underlying structure of your home, and the absolutely rigorous steps required to properly weatherproof your biggest investment. To get you prepped for the reality of this timeline, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover debunking the 2-week myth, the actual 4-phase process, the hidden damage danger, real-world data from San Diego projects, and finally, how you can stay on track. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the 2-week myth, expectation versus reality. Okay, so if you live in an older home, especially near the coast, think Point Loma or Ocean Beach, hidden moisture damage completely shatters that 2-week timeline. Remember, siding isn't just cosmetic. It's your home's primary defense against water. Actually installing the new boards, that's fast. But the real-time suck is the prep work and fixing what the old, failed siding was hiding. Decades of coastal marine layer moisture can literally turn your wood sheathing into oatmeal. Yeah, oatmeal. Moving right along to Section 2, the 4-phase process and its timeline breakdown. Your home is basically going to go through 4 critical phases, acting as a sequence of layers. Week 1 is discovery and materials. This is all about preparation. Then, weeks 1 and 2 hit demolition and repair, actually tearing off that old siding. Weeks 2 through 4, that's installation, where the magic transformation happens. And finally, weeks 3 through 6 cover finishes and the final walkthrough, taking you all the way up to that final magnetic nail sweep in your driveway. The heavy lifting during these phases really isn't just slapping on new boards. In Phase 1, you establish a scope lock day to finalize all those material orders. Phase 2 exposes the sheathing to hunt for water intrusion. Phase 3 is absolutely critical. That's installing the weather-resistant barrier, or WRB. This has to be layered like a shingled roof so water directs down and out, followed by really meticulous window and door flashing. And finally, Phase 4 covers caulking and painting. A solid crew takes their time here because improper flashing, that guarantees a leak. Which leads us directly into Section 3, the hidden damage danger, and dealing with unforeseen repairs. Now, there's a crucial guideline from the National Association of Home Builders, particularly for renovations on homes over 30 years old. On a San Diego siding project, you should really consider a 10 to 15% contingency fund as your absolute minimum. You might budget for new siding, but, well, you could very easily end up paying for a whole new wall. Discovering extensive dry rot, termite damage, or a failed weather barrier stops the installation clock immediately, and it starts the structural repair clock. A reputable contractor doesn't just rip and replace, They inspect, they look for water intrusion, active termite damage, all of it. In older San Diego homes, finding something is honestly the rule, not the exception. Carpenters actually have to come in to rebuild the home's structural load path before a single piece of new siding even goes on. And here's the kicker. Uncovering this damage changes your relationship with the city. According to the San Diego Development Services Department, or DSD, a simple like-for-like lightweight replacement generally avoids a permit. But if you uncover rot that requires structural work, or you decide to upgrade to a heavy material like stucco or fiber cement, the DSD requires a permit. This is to ensure the structure can actually support the load, but it undeniably adds another unavoidable layer of inspections right onto your timeline. All right, let's look at some actual numbers in Section 4, real San Diego projects, costs, and timelines. It's fascinating how the scope of work entirely dictates the timeline and budget here. For example, take a 2,800 square foot 1990s tract home in Carmel Valley doing a simple vinyl replacement with 0 structural damage. That took 3.5 weeks and cost $31,000. Now, compare that to a 2,400 square foot La Jolla home replacing failing stucco with heavy James Hardie fiber cement. They uncovered severe dry rot in 2 walls from a failed deck ledger. That project cost $68,000 and took a full 7 weeks. In the middle of those extremes, a historical North Park craftsman replacing wood with redwood took about 5 weeks for $45,000. When you look at the comparison, the impact of hidden damage is just undeniable. The timeline explodes from 3.5 weeks in Carmel Valley all the way to 7 weeks in La Jolla the second you transition from a cosmetic upgrade to a full-on structural rescue mission. The demolition and repair phase is literally the single biggest variable in this entire process. So what can you do? That brings us to Section 5, how to stay on track and maintain homeowner control. The good news? As a homeowner, you actually have total control over a few critical steps, and executing them perfectly will shave days, maybe even weeks off your project. First off, make all your material and color decisions completely final before that scope lock date. Indecision on trim color can honestly halt a project completely. Second, clear a 5-foot perimeter around your house so the crew has immediate scaffolding access. And third, have your financing totally sorted. Delays in progress payments can cause a contractor to pull their crew, and getting them back, that takes weeks. On the flip side, there are some self-inflicted schedule killers you absolutely must avoid. Changing your mind halfway through to ask for a different siding profile is a catastrophic delay. We're talking reordering, tearing off what's been done, and starting completely over. Likewise, ignoring your homeowners association is a guaranteed recipe for disaster. Failing to get pre-approval from an HOA architectural review committee will result in immediate stop work orders, and nobody wants that. Because ultimately, a fast job that merely covers up rot is so much worse than no job at all. It just traps the moisture, basically guaranteeing a massive structural failure down the road. The true cost of a San Diego siding project isn't just the materials and the labor, it's the peace of mind knowing the job was done right, from the sheathing out. So as you sit there reviewing those glossy 2-week proposals, you really have to ask yourself, are you just paying for a quick cosmetic cover-up, or are you truly investing to protect your home?